Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Monday, midterm week. What else do we have? CPI. Oh boy, gonna be another interesting week. It's just a calm Monday, maybe a calm Monday before the storm. How's everyone doing? By the way, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing, ring that bell, and hitting the like button. All right, we got that out of the way. Hello, Sashi. When's the CPI day? It is on Thursday morning before the open. So that's where we sit. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Gary. Hey, Coco. I didn't see a head and shoulders. There's a double top on the dollar. Good morning, Connor. What's everyone thinking? I might just sit out till after the Wednesday. It depends on your trading time frame. Long to medium term time frames, if you have to adjust your positions, not an issue. Short term, we can always sit out till after Wednesday. George is voting for the Republicans. Rams of fall. Good morning, do. Looks like the market wants to rally. It's got the upward bias. Was trading just higher than Friday's close. Retested Friday's high area. We'll look at that in a second. Housing is 40% in CPI calculation. Why do we not see a downward curve in the last 9 months? Because housing has not been going down for 9 months. It's only recently started going out, and it's the equivalent rent. So that's another thing. Can everybody hear can people hear me? Looks like my stuff is working. Uh, is it just Sterling or can everybody hear me? Can I get some feedback? Is this because of gas overusing housing declines? The housing declines haven't been that substantial yet. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, Lauren. Good morning, Options 22. Coco thinks Twitter is dead because of Elon. Thank you for the feedback. All right, so it's just you, which you can't hear me. I'm talking to Sterling, and it's just Sterling. All right, thank you for all the feedback, everyone. So very quiet day today. Just consumer credit change, very minor, nothing out this morning, and we got Fed speaks. So that's only thing, but I don't know what they could say. I mean, people who want that pause or pivot stuff are going to try to look for dovish. People who think they're crazy are going to look for hawkish stuff. So is it going to move anything? Probably not with the midterms coming up. Mixed market this morning. Amazon up a little, Google down a little. Meta. Who else just wants to call it Facebook all the time? Meta, with the announcement of big layoffs coming, is up. Meta, big layoffs, but we still have that gap overhead in Meta. Sectors pretty green across the board, except technology sort of mixed. I don't know why real estate's up so much, but who knows? 55-45 roughly. This is just until this gets to 80-20 one way or another. Doesn't matter. Fear and greed, stealing, greed. Palantir, when I looked at it, was down a little. Other than that, not much going on from my perspective with earnings. After the close today, we got Lyft, we got Activision Blizzard. Those are the key couple things I'll be checking in on, but not a super market moving earnings week. What I was saying is S&P now continuing up a little more compared to Friday's close, retesting the high area above the level I put out yesterday is 37.85 and retested on the last 4-hour bar. So that's where we sit, just a little pullback still, but into the clear path move. If we do continue to melt up, this is where, no, it's not a double top, it is two tops. So going into the open for the rally mode, would not ignore 38.05. Why am I looking at 38.05? Because now it is a confirmed two-top area, and we've pulled back from there. So 38.05, we get above there. Next key stopping point is until 38.43. Now remember, we have a lot of volume going off in here, so it could be a little rockier, but this is into a single candle clear path. We have daily cycles turning up. So we have the upward pressure of daily cycles, and we have weekly cycles at the top. But we shouldn't get the big rollover move just yet. Well, we have the midterm, so that's really, really key. Other levels I'm keying off of today. Again, if we break down below 37.85, you have a bunch of stopping points. We had that little gap down in the futures last night, which was filled quickly. I'm going to bump this level up to the lows from overnight after the gap fill, about 37.60. Then below 37.60, I'd target the gap down area and then 37.20. But we might remain choppy with a slight bullish bias. Could be a much quieter day. So, good morning, Christoph. I don't know, there's lots of stuff scrolling, lots of the crap scrolling by today. On the NASDAQ, first we are higher than Friday's close, and we have this triple topping area with the highs roughly around this 10,978 level, so that's still pretty key. You can see top right here. Now you can go off 10,980 into 10,980. Since it could be choppier, the first little level I'd use for watching around is about 11,095, right in front of 11,100. And then above there, there's a couple other stopping points, but the next major breakdown zone isn't till 11,296, so I'd use shorter term harmonics. Minor support going to the open is about 10,920. Major support for me is 10,874 on any pullback. We start breaking below this 10,874. Same levels pretty much yesterday, 10,814. And then down with the gap open, and I will use intraday harmonics. Let's pop to the spiders and the Qs real quick. Spiders, a slight gap up today. So besides that little gap issue, key resistance still is 378. We're trading 377.56. So 378 and then 370. There's not much until 380 unless you're playing micro level. So those are the two key to the upside. Support. Major support is down here at 371. Minor support would be the gap fill, 376.35. And then there is not a lot of support. So I'd be using the futures, but if you're looking beyond the gap fill, possibly about 374.50 area, but anything to the downside would be focusing on that gap fill. Or at least the gap harmonics. To the Qs. This is again, on the higher time frame, never triggered with this. This is not, you cannot use those targets anymore. The targets, however, look at 265.55, which is right against the 1 hour rotation zone. Into that, this level I think has to come down a bit. Yep. This level to the emotional candle close, about 267.70, 267.71. And minor, do not ignore, this is where I won't ignore these high areas, about 266.60, 266.50. Those are your key levels, and then 267.61. Above there, you're into a clear path move. That level's old, and the breakdown level is now 272, but that is a long, long way off. So, support levels. Support. Again, there isn't some. You got to go with the gap fill. 264.68, and then this level maybe down I'm just looking at here, bringing it down a tad. 263.25 area for the next support after the gap fill. Below that, you really don't have much back and down major besides using intraday harmonics until 259.95. All right. So, market playing tic-tac-toe. Bears are already losing ammunition for their argument. June lows holding, Fed speak diminishing. It's all going to be trading right now off the midterm, and then we go into Thanksgiving, which is traditionally slightly bullish, and I think we'll get another rollover play before the end of the year, but I got to trade the price action. Now, remember, if you break down in some of these things below, especially the Qs below the June lows, it could change things rapidly. Dow, still 32,593. Have not been able to get above there now twice on the longer term basis. That is the 62.5 harmonic. You see stalling out there again. So that's pretty key above there. I'm just using this prior harmonic and the 75 retracement harmonic as the next target area, 32,734 to 32,764. Key support coming in right about 32,387 to 32,4. Russell. No, not a double top, just two tops. But again, this is an area where I'll watch this area about 18.18, 18.19. We break above there, 18.31. Key support back at 18.05, 18.06 area. The DAX, by the way, I talked about this last week, watching for that reconnection with the double harmonic or the harmonic significant level and the 200, and we reconnected with it today. So there's some decent resistance. If it does make a push higher, the next area for all those DAX traders out there, 13.07, then there's not much. So I'd use about 13.820, then 13.970 would be the levels. The upside support now coming in at 13.371, but I'm going to be watching more for a topping pattern with a divergence setting up. So I'm watching. There's no great topping pattern, but I'm watching for it just now. Notes. The sloppy double, which is almost, it's going to almost go off the table because you can't really be traded this, but 109.25. 109.25 is breakdown. If it break down, there's not much support until the retest of the low areas, about 119.12 to 119.15. I'll leave the levels on here, but it's really, at this point, it's really just that 110.14.5. Dollar index. This is not a head and shoulders top. It doesn't look anything like a head and shoulders top. It still has this double, which is easier to see on the daily, but getting really yucky right now and not triggered on the weekly. Next support, we've already come back. I said I was using the harmonics, this 109.86 area. Continued down move, 109.20 area. To the upside, I'm going back to 111.24. Other than that, waiting for a pattern to trigger. It's not fantastic. VIX gap up right now, which is more so with short-term options rolling off. 26 is my key resistance area. Can't get overly bearish until we get above 26. The breakdown area is roughly this 25.30, and then I'd be playing for the gap fill. Well, not playing for the gap fill, but watching for that back gap fill, and that would keep me in choppy bullish. By the way, crude, I'm watching for that breakout play, but we do have a little potential double top. Little gap down, filled the gap, back up to these highs. Does this mean short? No. Not until you get at least, you You can play this off the 1 hour 94.40, a closing, a 1 hour close below that, preferably on the 4 hour. The targets, it would just be a minor pullback, 90, 89, 17, 88, 55, 87, 93. I am still watching with the rising rotation zone above the support level. That would actually just take us back to the daily rotation zone on the bottom. I'm watching for the breakout play with the target of that 200 in the harmonic area, roughly around 98. Euro rallying with the dollar breaking down, still in the channel. The double was never invalidated. So miners, we've already hit the parity, which was my first thing I mentioned yesterday. But 10024 and then 10093. And then the first target 101.83. Support now coming back, already tested with today's low 99.07. Let's just jump. Bitcoin pulling back. Would not get worried from the bullish perspective about Bitcoin until back below 20,345. Tesla. We got the close below 62.5, but it hit the 87.5. So there is not a great pattern just yet. We start breaking. This is where I will watch Friday's low. We break below Friday's low. 207.56 will target the 203 area, 203.20, and then you break down, it would be 198.59. Major support coming in at 194 on a major breakdown play. Other than that, I just key off of the retracement harmonics for any bounces. Major cluster about 213.35. And then I'd be utilizing 218 roughly. Oops, not that. One to delete. 218 and then 220, 280, which is interesting with the key gap open. So this is your major resistance area. What else do we? Let's see. Is Apple ever going to bottom? What do you mean? Is Apple ever going to bottom? It's near its recent lows, but you mean long term? I don't think we're near a long term bottom. We could be near a short term play. The only Apple play I'm watching for, besides the pre-market gap down to the return of Friday's close, 138.38. Remember, there's the news with the China lockdowns, with it impacting their iPhone 14 Pro production. The only play with a bullish bias in the market would be to the Friday close, 138.38. The only bigger play is if we get above these two tops areas from Thursday and Friday, right around 142.67. Interesting, if the Apple does break down, my next major support area isn't down until roughly about 130 to 131.50 is a support zone I'm watching for. If that breaks, it's an uh-oh for Apple. But there is some major support down here. By the way, there is still an unfilled gap from June in Apple. It's right around this 131.48 harmonic. This is where you don't get caught up, and always look back at past price action, because that full gap play would be to 131.56. So on a breakdown play, and we have these little low areas, 134.40. Break down below that, we could see a pretty quick move for this gap fill play. Would not discount that from the short side. When are dividend? Is X dividend? Okay, that went X on Friday. I forgot about that. Meta's got a short-term bias with the layoffs. I mean, that is theoretically bullish for the stock. Going to be interesting to see what it will do on the open. How much of the gap it will do, but I'm not interested in any bullish play until we can really start getting above about this 102 area, and that would only be a very short-term bullish play. I'm more watching for that pullback to see how it reacts on the open. And again, anything in meta still is a aggressive short term bullish play. I'm still watching for some more downside longer term in meta before this all unwinds. All right, let me check back in with Palantir. Again, the only other play, if anybody was watching this off the daily, was with the daily double top. Triggered, little pullback, first, second, third targets already have hit. Pay attention if you're playing Palantir, 765. Your targets are then 752, but you break below 752. Really nice breakdown play for this prior double bottoming area around 720 and below 720. Watch out. How the midterm election will affect the market? Well, right now we should be sort of calm going in through it until we start getting the results. I tend to think that it will be more bullish should Republicans sweep the Senate and the House. We could have some toss-up elections that drag on for a while, which could affect the Senate, and that makes it prone to a lot of volatility. If the Democrats hold on, I don't think that'll be as positive for the market. That's my personal take, and that's not from a political standpoint, that's from a trading standpoint. What about VZ from a longer term perspective? VZ from a longer term perspective, you have this. You have that 3770, which is, I think that was it was triggered technically here. That's your only short-term bias play into the weekly rotation zone. There is no long-term play yet for Verizon. Communications have been seriously beat up because it's been short for a long time. Don't mix up short-term bottoming plays for long-term plays. We need to get this rotation zone out of the way on the longer-term basis before we really start looking for a longer-term bottoming play. Election results will start coming out late Tuesday if there's a runaway victories, late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, and then some more will come out throughout the day Wednesday. It's only going to be close elections and some close elections could really be important. And I'm not speaking on the individual election, but for deciding the balance of the Senate, which is going to be big. Okay, so it's going to... And I can't predict how some of the races I think are going to be closer than people think. I can look at it real quick. Then I'm going to jump back to the S&P. Caterpillar. You're really breakout area. It's sitting right against there. But if you start staying above this 228, if you get above 229... Why does stuff keep moving? Your next target really is this return to, and you should probability-wise return to 236 to about 246. Even on a pullback, first thing would be the gap fill, and then I'd be watching this 214.40 level, which you also had a prior gap fill through here. So that would be your major support. Your minor support, your major support would be back at 204. Peaking in at the S&P, just going into the open. Nothing's really changed. 37.85 breakdown level, not breakout until 38.05. Until there, it's caught in this range. you break down below here. I wouldn't trade this as a pattern either. I just watching this little clear path vacuum move back to about 37.75 possibly. That's where we sit. You are welcome. You are welcome, everyone. I will be here after the close. Everyone have a fantastic trading day. Not a time to force any moves. Pay attention if you're shorter term to the tick because it could go into a choppier mode waiting on the elections tomorrow. Talk to everyone later. Bye for now.